What is collaboration as an adult, but just a giant group project, no matter what your job is? Hey, I'm Chuck. I'm an educator that just got a new job this year, and you're along for the drive today. This is Drive Time Diaries. Basically, this podcast is just me talking to myself and the listeners when I'm in the car on a commute. Welcome to the drive today. I'm thinking about group work today and collaboration. I had some professional development today that I was at as part of the cohort of new staff at my school. And today, the purpose of today was to tell us a little bit more just about how our district does the job, get us more into the vision and values of the district. We talked about universal design for learning. We talked about our portrait of a graduate. We had more just random tech work time, setting up the grade book. Grades were due today, and I realized there was a thing that I had not set up in my grade book at all since school started. That it was really good I was in that room. And also, we had an opportunity to collaborate working on integrating our doing some research, maybe some jigsaw if you want to, about understanding universal design for learning. Those principles, if you don't know them, with my now ChatGPT level of understanding, because that's what I did for my research for today. Universal design for learning incorporates a lot of choice for students. You give many different representations and opportunities for learning materials in your class, video, lecture, written stuff. You give many different opportunities for engagement. What is my learning going to look like for this lesson? Am I going to have a conversation with a group? Am I going to write a paper by myself? Am I going to make a comic? Am I going to sing a song? Am I going to take a test? Also, lots just of flexibility for individual learners. Knowing that one size does not fit all, so we can incorporate flexibility into our learning design and let kids choose, empower kids to choose what is best for them in that day. That's another component of Universal Design for Learning, UDL. And there's one more that I can't think of right this moment, and I'm driving because this is the Drive Time Pod, and I cannot Google that right now. Let me see if I can get to it again. Different representations of learning material, different choices for engagement, flexibility. There's just one that I can't think of right now. Anyway, we were tasked with researching together how the principles of UDL can work into our classroom, what that would look like for meeting all learners, which is super important for me. There's a poster in my classroom that says everyone, every day. It was a mantle that I took on last year of really buying into the school goal that I had at my last building of 100% of our students scoring proficient or advanced on the state test, whichever Missouri state test that class was taking. And so I'm carrying that to my new school, and I am really passionate about it. I think that having those high expectations for all learners, even if they were below basic or basic the year before, whether or not they are a student with an IEP, whether or not they're a student that has some troubles, the school community coming together to support that student in whatever ways they need to, so that they can show proficiency on their math goals, on their ELA goals, and designing the learning environment in such a way that they have lots of different opportunities to engage in the content in ways that are going to grow them. All those things are important, and we have to put all those things in place to reach that goal, and they're all super important because it matters that someone is proficient in math. And data pretty much always also shows that Black and brown students do not score proficient in math. I look at math most often, so I know this. I just looked at it again today. I think in the data for end of course exam for Algebra 1 last year in the state of Missouri, I think this was the state, if you were African American, according to your demographics that you had in the data that the school reported, you were like 49% likely to score in the lowest category on the state test. And that is just unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. Maybe the problem is the test. Maybe the problem is schools and school choice and the ways in which we fund schools and the ways that we congregate ourselves in our neighborhoods have resulted into a resegregation of those students. However you want to look at that problem and its own solution, fine. But the fact that 49% of students that, according to our reported data, were scoring not passing the test just by the color of their skin is ridiculous and a travesty. And I just got super passionate into this equity moment, and I forgot where I was going with this, but it's so important. And I think even in my district, that data matched the state data for that student population, and so it deeply matters. And for those kids, it deeply matters even more. That we have to set up our classrooms in such a way that the amount of melanin in your skin does not, according to some data, give us a predictor of how you're going to be proficient in math. That's a lack of a civil right. This is where I will get most liberal on this podcast, is on this measure right here. So if you always feel like I'm too conservative, this one's for you, fam. But anyway, I'm almost home, so I gotta land this episode. This turned into not what I thought it was going to be about. I was going to say this is about group work, and I had a story about how we were offered an opportunity to work in a group, and I was like, nope, no thanks. And what problem that is with me, that I would always rather work on something by myself. I don't even know what that means, and that can still be maybe next episode. But I guess today's episode was designing for all learners, so that all learners can be successful in basic. I don't even want to say basic, because that allows us to let kids score basic on these tests. All kids proficient, so they have opportunities to do whatever in the world they want to. Part of my story as a math teacher is that I was okay at math. I was always like 60th percentile, which wasn't like, I mean, that means there were 40% of the kids in any given class that were scoring better than me, and it was usually my lowest sub score on those tests. But I committed to doing math anyway, even though it wasn't my favorite. I went through the honors math courses. I took calculus when I was in a senior at my high school, McClellan North High School in Florissant, and all of that happened. I was mostly unsuccessful in calculus. I got a C and an F, but all that did was it kept the opportunity for me to be proficient at math, so that I could take a competency test to get certified to teach math, so that I could get a job. And here I am 16 years later, super passionate about kids having math proficiency. This is not a path I ever would have chosen for myself, but because I was good enough at math to have this opportunity to step into it 16 years ago and take that and run with it, and Be okay with being the kid in the room that didn't know anything, because usually as a math teacher, I'm sitting in the room with people that are really good at math, and math was typically, if you were to poll any math department at a school, typically math was their highest subject, and so it wasn't mine, but I was good enough for the opportunity. And we need students, no matter who they are, no matter their challenges, no matter what are the things they bring into our classroom, they have to have that proficiency so they can have that opportunity. And that is what we owe people. And I talk a lot about social contracts on this podcast too, and the ways that parents interact with that. But this is part of the social contract when I look at it. When parents send their kids to our school, no matter who they are, and they expect us to teach their kids, we have to do it. And we have to have high expectations for that kid, because at the end, parents doing the best that they could, which is another thing that I hold on to. Check out that episode. Parents doing the best they could, they would want their kid to do the best they can. And maybe that kid is in my classroom because that parent doesn't feel like they could teach math to that kid. Well, guess what? I can do that, and I feel like I can do it well. And so it's my job to make sure that I do it, and make sure that kid has the opportunity, so that 10 years after they're in my classroom, if they come to me and are like, hey, I need a job, and I'm like, you know what? You were proficient at algebra. Why don't you try being a math teacher? I really saw something in you. And I could be that spark for somebody else. Opportunity is our game when we are educators. And so we have to have those high standards, and we have to support our students to meet those high standards in whatever way they need. That is my sermon for tonight. Universal design for learning. I'm going to do better at that tomorrow. I hope that if you are hearing this, that you'll investigate that some more, and you'll do some better for yourself. Because that's just going to make you feel like a better teacher also, and it's going to be better for your students. And this drive time is over. I'm yelling to myself in my driveway right now. But thank you for listening to the podcast. Again, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Please subscribe so I can know you're there. To the 94% of you that are women, thanks for being on the ride. To the half of you that are 45 and up, I guess I'm an old soul and you're relating to me. Thank you for that too. If you are in the other demographics, let me know what I could do to reach out to you also and make this more worth your time, something that you'd be willing to share. But that's for next time. I'll see you on the next drive. My name's Chuck. I'm a new educator. Educator with a new job. This is Drive Time Pod. Drive Time Diaries. Woo! It's late actually. You wouldn't know that too. This is Drive Time Diaries. I'll see you on the next drive. Good night.